welcome to Up Close with Carlos Sang, celebrating art, entertainment, and the human spirit. Welcome to another episode of Up Close with Carlos Sang. My next guest is someone who I have idolized for the longest time. I think he's got the most gorgeous vocals. He is about to star in the brand new musical theatre concert at Last Summer at the London Palladium, and will also be returning to Cadogan Hall for West End Does Hollywood the sequel. It is an absolute joy to be able to introduce the one and only Rob Houchen to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's very good to be here.
So At Last Summer, it's a brand new musical. Not many people have really heard the material before. What made you want to be part of this exciting new project?
I love being part of new shows. I think there's just something great about, especially like new British musical theatre, like bringing it into the public eye and people hearing things for the first time. You get to put your stamp on it. Like no one's done it before, so I get to do it for the first time, and I feel like there's something really special about that, and especially at this kind of iconic venue. I've never done the Palladium before. When I say done the Palladium, I never worked at the Palladium before. So yeah, it'd be really nice to be on that stage, and it's such a beautiful place, and there's a lot of great people involved as well. The cast is full of amazing performers and a lot of talent, so I'm just excited to share the stage with them, to be honest.
Yeah, do you think it's, more challenging as well, working on a new show than doing something that's been, long running, or, doing a revival of something that's been, done before too?
I think there's like pros and cons, and like challenges and things that are easier. You like I say, you don't have to have people that haven't done it before, so you don't have to have that idea of like, oh, I need to be different, I need to do it different to so and so, or but you can just be yourself and put your own interpretation ahead and see how it goes. But when you've been in a show like Les Mis that's done 30 years, you're like, okay, there's been more than 30 Mariuses. I need to just probably change this up and do something different. But actually, you learn that you just do what you can do, put your own personality in it, and it will be different to everyone else's. So, but yeah, it's actually quite nice and quite refreshing just to learn something new. And you can sometimes even say that, at this bit, maybe we could do this, and have your own little input that makes it really special and unique. So, yeah, I think there's challenges to both, but all in all, I like creating something new. I think it's something particularly special.
Yeah, and as you mentioned as well, the London Palladium is, such a special venue, one of the most iconic, theatres in the world potentially as well.
Mm.
How are you feeling about, performing on that stage and, adding your name to that list of, previous veteran performers
Oh
too?
yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I've been to the Palladium a lot. I remember it when I was young. I've seen shows there like, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and stuff like that when I was young. Went to London, it was always like the London Palladium, where they do the Royal Bride performance and stuff. And it was always a theatre that I knew of. And yeah, I'm excited to be in there. And it's so beautiful as well. Like every time I go there, I'm looking around like, gosh, this place is just so iconic. So yeah, it's going to be really fun. As I said, I've never done it, so it'll be another one to tick off my bucket list.
Yeah, and musical theatre concerts, they've become quite trendy over the last couple of years. We've seen, Witches of Eastwick, Chess, Gypsy. One of my favourites
Mm.
was Children of Eden at Cadogan Hall.
Oh,
I
thank
know
you very
that, yeah,
much.
you're welcome. Yeah, I know that Children of Eden was, one of your dream shows that you really wanted to do, and I know that you did the show at GSA as well. Do you feel like you're done with that show now as well, or is there still more that you'd like to explore with Children of Eden?
I think I was speaking to Stephen Schwartz the other day. I feel like that show needs to be like done properly again or revised, maybe another concert or something. I know that at the time we did it, it was difficult. It was a COVID kind of a post-COVID era. It was like a little bit it was a little bit tricky to get people to the theatre. When we did the concert, I remember feeling so honoured that we got to do that and to have him there, having Schwartz there, and Schwartz, like I'm calling him like, hey, Mr. Schwartz, and having Stephen Schwartz there was just so great. And he's keen, I think, on doing it. So whether it's us or whether it's someone else, I do think it should be done again. I do think that they should, you know, go into it and sing these amazing songs. Even just that was an honor, like I've always loved the music since, like you say, I did it at GSA, and I never got to play that role, so I finally got to do it, and I really I just love it. I love it. The show, the music, everything about it is really special.
Yeah, it was such a gorgeous, gorgeous show. I was so glad I got to come along and see it. I knew that Children of Eden was also the first time you directed the show, and I was wondering, how did you come to the decision that you would also be able to take on that role on top of, starring and producing the show as well?
I think that like directing is never something that I've actually thought I would end up doing, just because like I do so many different things, and I'm just like, oh gosh, can I really fit that in as well? But in that show, in that specific situation, I thought I know this show better than a lot of people because I've done it, and I can help like envision it and bring it to life. I think, as well as other people can. And I thought, why not? And when it comes to staging a concert, I've done so many myself that I knew what worked, and I knew Cadogan Hall. And I thought, me and Stephen could just look at it together and try and simplify it and not overcomplicate things. I think that's important with a concert, and let the piece do the talking. And then, yeah, it was difficult. It was a lot of work. We had a lot of, obstacles on the way, but it was all worth it in the end because it was brilliant. It was a brilliant night.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, West End does Chorus Presents, they've been massive successes, with musical theatre fans and audiences. How challenging has it been, putting on these shows, and has it gotten easier, over time, assembling these casts?
I wouldn't say easier. No, it's gotten easier in the sense that we kind of know the formula. We know like what people want. We know how to put certain things on, especially like when it comes to West End does those kind of series of events. We put them on, knowing what people want to see, how to work at Cadogan, for example. But in terms of selling tickets, people would think after COVID that people are gagging to go to the theatre, but I think people buy tickets quite late on, and for us as a producer, it's quite difficult. We can't predict like what's going to happen, and we have to kind of just like yeah, hedge our bets and hope that things are going to sell because we know that they should, and we know that the standard is really good, and we know that people believe that. But people just buy tickets last minute because, they're thinking they still have this kind of idea of is it going to happen or what's going on, So yeah, that's become a bit difficult. But in terms of putting them on and our like inspirations, it's definitely become it's got a flow to it now, and we're really excited, especially with like Musical Heaven, the new podcast me and Matt Lucas do. It's something really special, and we're like really excited about new things that are coming. So yeah, it's good. It's still hard work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's been nearly 10 years, since you made your debut as Marius in Les Mis. I feel very lucky to have gotten to see you play Marius. How would you
Ah,
describe the last 10 years as well?
Um, wild, really, to be honest. The first three, I was when I was in Les Mis, I was a feeling of just I was grateful, I was lucky, I was learning, I was new to it, I was not really sure what I was doing. I was just like going with the flow and learning, and then I came out of that thinking, what's next? But nothing really came along, and I had to kind of make my own way and do my own thing and create my own career a little bit, which was actually the biggest learning curve that I ever had was like, what do you do when you want to stay creative and also earn money
Mm.
and not, have to go and work somewhere that you don't want to? Like, so I had to really figure that out because people weren't casting someone like me at the time. And then I finally got like some jobs, and it took me to amazing places like in the Piazza. I didn't realize that would even happen, and it shows that something can just come out of nowhere. It can surprise you, and then you're doing a show you didn't think you were going to do. You can go to LA and Chicago and like work with amazing people that are friends for life. I've done a lot of that, and it's funny. There's always going to be dips, and times when you're just like, oh, what's happening? Where's the work? You can have that 10 years on, 20 years on. It's something that you just got to learn to deal with and work around.
Yeah, I mean, you've gotten to play, Marius, on and off, in the West End, in Japan, in the stage concerts.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
would you, if the opportunity came to go back to the show came around again, would you want to go back to Marius, or would you want to play a different character next time?
Well, I think I'm a bit old for Marius, but then I think Rob, who's playing it now, if he's still there, is older than me. But we do have youthful faces, so that is something on our side. But I do think that maybe I liked how I finished it before. I said that when I left in 2016 that I tied a ribbon in it and it was wonderful. But then the stage concert felt like something different and something a bit new. And so when I did that, I felt like, this is a good opportunity for me to represent in a sense. And then when that finished, I did think, come on now, Rob, you've got to do something else. So maybe I can come back into the show one day, but playing something else. Maybe I'd be a good Thenardier because I do have a little cheeky side.
Yeah, I mean, last week I also got to interview Selena Schwartz, who you worked with pretty
Hmm.
extensively, on Piazza, Les Mis, Marry Me a
Hmm.
Little. Do you see yourselves working together again as well in the future and, finding new ways to collaborate?
I would love that. Yeah, she's one of my best friends. I admire her a lot. I think that her performance in Guys and Dolls is like the best thing she's ever done. It's just fantastic, and I'm just really happy for her. I'm proud of her, and I hope that we get to work together again. We just have to make sure we don't giggle all the time because we are, when you work with friends like that who you just get on so well with, you have to sometimes leave that giggly side off stage when you're on stage, and sometimes it comes creeping on. So yeah, but I love working with Celinda, and she's so talented. I hope we do work together in something again.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I actually got to see you was in in the Piazza, and I remember,
Ah,
yeah, at the end of your London run, Renee Fleming, shared a note with you saying that you had a voice that could pursue opera as well going forwards. Is
oh
it something
yeah.
that is this something that you've considered pursuing as well going forwards?
Gosh, when I said that, I thought, are you sure? The thing about opera is there's just such a skill that you learn like at college, and she always would be like, I don't need a mic really, and I'm like, I definitely do. So I think the idea of projecting a voice to that like distance to right at the back of the Royal Festival Hall would just it's something that I'm not sure I could do, but the sound and the kind of maybe the color that I could give that part maybe made her think that. And I have sung kind of operatic, like I've sung Candide, that's an operetta. I've sung that kind of style, and it works in my voice, but. Yeah, I feel like I just can't compete with the amazing opera singers out there in the world. I'll just stick to musical theatre.
Yeah, you were amazing in like the Piazza. I think it stuck so well in
Oh,
your
thank
voice.
you.
I loved it so much. Yeah, and also over time, you've accumulated tens of thousands of followers on across social media. Do you consider yourself to be a social media influencer as well?
No. I feel like people say that and they joke to me about it, and I'm like, I think I've just got loads of followers because of the people that I've been in shows with, but I've managed to maintain them maybe from keeping people happy with my content. I don't know, but I feel like a lot of responsibility in terms of like what you put out there as yourself and making sure that you're inspiring people in the right way and thinking before you post. And I feel like I do that, and sometimes I post things and delete them because I'm just like, why did you post that? Or, and I think that's fine. You should have the freedom to be able to do that. Do you know what I mean? But nowadays, everything's out there at all times, and we have to be kind of wary of that and how that makes people feel and makes people think. But I like to think of it as well as a bit of a business. Like it really can help in terms of like me as a business and as my career like goes on, how I can like shape it, help being helped by social media. So I feel like less of an influencer, more of just like I just don't think I can, once again, like I said before with opera singers, I don't think I can compete with the influencers. I don't know how they managed to do all those videos. I just think that's very impressive.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. I mean, yeah, going back to what you're saying as well, something that really moved me was, one of your posts about your previous struggles with body image and, your relationship with food in the past. What
Mm.
made you want to share something so personal with such a wide audience?
I feel like people need to hear that from someone that maybe they think, because I've thought it before. I'm not saying I'm comparing myself to anyone famous or with a big name, but sometimes you can think that people haven't had those issues and it's been easy for them and everything's been going quite smoothly and they don't have to worry. But actually, everyone has something going on. And I think that's just important to remind people that, even those people that they're looking at and they think look so great and perfect on social media, there's things behind the phones that is going on, and so the more you talk about it, the more that we can all feel related to each other and more comfortable when we feel something similar, and not be so hard on ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, during the pandemic as well, you also turned 30, and, you sometimes hear that, the 30s are the best years of your life. Would you agree with
Mm.
this sentiment as well?
So far, they're all right. I feel like I definitely feel like it's a great decade because you feel more of an adult, more like into your own. And 20s are just about having fun and discovering and finding things. And um, yeah, now I do feel, but there is pressure that you've got to kind of make sure that you've got a solid foundation and a good career. So yeah, I do feel a bit of pressure. I do feel like it's been a bit of a slow year this year, and I'm like, okay, I'd really like to be doing certain things. I put pressure on myself, which I think can be good and bad. But yeah, I feel like it's something that is. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I can feel good things coming around the corner, but um, yeah, I'm only 2 years in, so I'm giving myself a bit of a break. I'm like, you've got 8 years of your 30s.
Yeah, I mean, over time as well, you've also been really open about your relationship with Jack Butterworth, another brilliant, very versatile performer as well. But you've not actually really worked together actually over your careers. Is that something that you would also like to do in the future? And, do you think it helps being in a relationship with someone who's also in the industry?
I think that if we work together, we might kill each other. No, I'm joking. I feel like, yeah, being with someone in the industry is really useful when it comes to coming home and you're like, oh God, I had the craziest day, and you can explain it and they completely know where you're coming from. But also, it does mean that sometimes, you're both really tired, or you're working opposite timetables and schedules, and doing one's rehearsing, one's doing the show, or whatever, and you don't really ever get to see each other. You're like passing ships. But then, because you both do it, you understand about it and you get it. And I think that's why a lot of actors get together, because it saves a bit of that middle ground, like or the breaking of the ice. You're just kind of like, I get it. When someone goes, I'm so tired, I can't even think like right now, or like I've got so many plates spinning right now, which is me a lot of the time. So he gets it. So I think that's really useful. But yeah, we never worked together because we got called in for the same thing sometimes, but it hasn't happened just yet. So we've got different kind of skills and different kind of possibilities. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. I mean, I've got so much admiration for actors, and I've loved speaking to some of my favorite performers through this show. What would you say are some of the downsides of being an actor too?
I think the pressure that we put on ourselves and that we get put on by social media and by audiences, and that's that all comes with them loving the show as well, or loving what you do. But you do feel this kind of pressure that you need to be amazing and be the best and get work and be doing certain things at certain times, getting certain roles because people think that you're going to get it. And I think that's something that can be kind of crushing at times. So I think that's probably the worst thing. But it's also just hard work. Rejection comes around a lot, and you have to just kind of get over it and move on and work really hard at being the best you can be, and just not being too hard on yourself. I think that's something that I try and tell myself a lot.
Definitely. I remember one of my earliest interviews was with John Owen Jones, and we spoke about an
Hmm.
incident at the Lemo Stage concert when an audience member heckled him when he was performing instead of Alfie Boe. And we were talking about,
Mm.
how audience behavior, is, sort of like declining in, especially like since COVID. Do you feel like, audience etiquette is on decline too?
I don't know, it's always had its ups and downs. I think I've always, since I've started this show and started this career, I've always felt like there has been times in audiences where people get a bit rowdy, get a bit drunk. Um, I do feel like I was saying, it kind of weirdly comes with the love of it. Like you can get people, fans that are so intense that then if something doesn't go the way they want, or so they feel like because they have spent so much money and they love the show so much that that gives them a kind of right to heckle or shout things like that or say things like that. And I think that maybe that's just something that they need to, I don't know, think about and have a little check in about, because no one should have that in their head that they can shout at people like when they're on stage and stuff. And but the majority of fans, I think, are really kind and lovely, and audiences. I think it just depends, because of phones and stuff. People are on their phones quite a lot because of social media, and it helps us in our careers, but also it does mean that like people are just on them and it's distracting. So that's one of the key things I think that people are annoyed about in terms of theatre etiquette is the phones. And I don't really know how we battle that. I don't know how we tackle it. I think maybe we have to do a phones off kind of, but we do that anyway. I don't know. I know that in really, really like intense situations, you have to put them in a bag, like when you go in and seal it and then put it in your pocket. But I just don't think that will ever pass because people need to take emergency calls and stuff. So I don't know. But yeah, I think just spreading the word that the light on your phone is very bright on your face.
Of course, definitely. I mean, have you had any, particularly memorable experiences, with fans and audiences, good or bad?
Um, I do remember one time in South Pacific when I came on, someone wolf whistled me, which was the first time that ever happened. So that was quite funny. I was like, oh, they obviously like a man in uniform. Um, but that just made me, I didn't even react because I guess after time you learn like that those things, you know, happen and it just passes over. But I don't know. I don't think I've had anything crazy. I had a horrible time once in Les Mis and someone I think had a heart attack down the front row, and that was really intense. That's kind of makes you realize how lucky you are, I think. But I've not had, touch wood, anything too crazy, anything too like mad or bad. You just get some people that are loud, and you're just like, I just got to concentrate on what I'm doing because I'm easily distracted.
Yeah, I mean, many of us will know you as a, terrific actor, singer, producer, director, and also as a songwriter and pencil artist too. Do you have any more talents that that we don't know about and that you would also like to explore going forwards?
Well, that's very kind. I don't know. I want to write a musical one day for sure, but I know how long it takes and how much graft it takes. So I feel like that's something that I need to look at seriously if I'm going to do it and be like, what am I writing about? I've got a couple of ideas, but it also takes money, and we're always struggling with money, us actors, unless we're really lucky. So I'm going to have to find a way to fund it and things, and find a way to pay my bills whilst I'm using the time to write a musical in my kitchen. But yeah, that's something that I would like to do, I think.
Amazing. One of my theatre highlights from last year as well was seeing the Sondheim Old Friends Gala show last year at
Mm.
the Sondheim
Hmm.
Theatre. The show is also coming back as a longer run later in the year too. Is it something that you would also like to get
Yes.
involved in again as well?
Do you know what? I had a great time doing Old Friends, and I think um, it would be fun to do. My only thing was, I feel like I had such a good time. I want to leave it there. I want to like leave it how it is, and then do something else and go and watch talented friends be in it. I think it's going to be a very big success, and I love that Cameron's doing it again because I love Sondheim. I'm obsessed. So I'm excited to watch it rather than be in it again, just for the sake of like maybe getting my teeth into something like a role for a contract, like a long period of time. I think I'd like to do some kind of role that would add to my career in a different way.
Mm. Do you have your eye on any particular Sondheim role as well going forwards?
I've always wanted to be George, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But I've always wanted to play George. But yeah, as a Sondheim fan, and I want to play Bobby to be honest. But it depends if they do another company. I don't know. I don't know. I'm too young to be Sweeney Todd, so I have to wait that out until I get a bit older. But I feel like maybe a young George would be quite cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think that'll be really, really, really cool. Yeah, it's been amazing talking to you as well. Just as a last
Oh,
question,
thank you so much.
yeah, what do you most want to be remembered for?
I think I'd like to be remembered for being funny. No, it depends. If remembered by friends, I just like to always make people laugh and bring a smile and into their day, and um, have a good time and be fun because life's too short. But in terms of performing and in my career, I'd like to just be unique and be remembered for something unique. Be that person that someone says, "Oh, there's no one like that," and they can do this and they can do that, and they brought themselves to it. And yeah, so whether that's, I don't know if they remember me for a certain role or something, as long as it's like they just remember me, that would be great.
Rob Houchen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for everything. That's great.